Well, Addie Bear and I got up early today. She had dance. Did you have fun at dance?
Yeah.
What did you learn? What dance did you do?
Want to build a snowman?
You want to build a snowman? Oh, it's cold enough today to build a snowman, right? It's so cold. But what do we need to build a snowman?
Ice.
No, but what are we missing? Look, what don't we have to build a snowman?
Snow.
Yeah, we don't have snow. It's coming this week, I'm sure. Anyway, I usually start, hopefully, all the time, usually start off our videos with, oh, we had such a great week. We did have a good week, but it wasn't without its hiccups. And obviously, Sintra last night, I got parked to the quarter with him. He ended up 6 beat 2 lengths. He raced good. I guess the overarching question, as I said in my video last night, was, did I race him too hard? In hindsight, yes, I did. I did. But that is racing sometimes. Oh, what's that?
No.
Who's your favorite horse?
Cake and Tiger.
Cake and Tiger?
That's it, Addie.
No, that says racing. I'm going over a list of the horses that were racing I wanted to talk about. It has an A, you're right. It has an A, but not every word that has an A is Addie. Anyway, Addie Bear and I... Did you want to go inside now? You do? Are you going to give me a kiss first? All right, do you want me to let you walk inside?
Yeah, and I need to bring my water.
Your water bottle? There you go. Okay. You ask Mommy when she needs me to go. You coming grocery shopping with me? Okay. We got to go grocery shopping today. It's school next week for the little ones here in Canada. So, back to the grind, so to speak. I am going to go over to Northfield this week. We're going to start, obviously, training the horses a little harder. I'm happy with the way both our caretakers, for you that haven't been following along, we had hired a bunch of new people. Now, it is hard. I guess it's hard in every workforce right now. It's nice to think that horse racing is unique in that aspect, but looking at Starbucks and restaurants, I went into just take note next time you go into any restaurant in the middle of the week, or maybe even especially when it's not a busy time for that restaurant, just look around the restaurant. You'll probably see gaps in seating because they don't have people to work there, right? And it happened last week. I took note of it when we went to sit down, and it was Wednesday, it was Thursday evening after the races at the Meadows. Now, for those of you who haven't made it to the Meadows, it's a beautiful place to watch racing. In fact, one of the nicest around, to be honest. Now, of course, you have Mohawk and the tarmac, and I mean, it's beautiful, the Meadowlands. But when you think of all the other tracks, the Meadows is very, very nice. And one of the most unique things about the Meadows is you can walk from the casino floor right out into the racetrack, or the racetrack area. Then you look at places like Flamborough Downs, where you need a guide to get you out to the track if you're even welcome there. And I guess it's easy for me to take shots at Flamborough, but it's pretty clear that some casino companies have no interest in promoting racing, and that is upsetting. But when you look at the Meadows, in particular, you can literally walk from the casino floor out to watch the races, or go upstairs to a very fancy high-end restaurant. Now, it doesn't open till 4 o'clock, but can't blame them for that. And it overlooks the track. So if you're ever at the Meadows, you can watch the last few races from the restaurant, Presteka, I think it's called, from the restaurant, and it's literally overlooking the track. It's a beautiful, beautiful view, and one that is, unless I'm mistaken, again, taking away Mohawk and the Meadowlands, unless I'm mistaken, one of the very few tracks that you can do that. So we went up to Presteka after we were racing Thursday. I wanted to go up with Tim. Obviously, Tim, I told everybody, very private man, but I told everybody Tim had heart surgery not that long ago. Has been taking it easy and looks great. It was nice to have him and his family out. We don't ever usually get to go out. Dave Boughton Sr. and his wife was over there also. So some of the staff come out, and Tim and his family and Dave, everybody was out to the races and out to the restaurant. And when we walked in, when we first arrived there, I invited them up, and they said, it's short notice, I don't know if we can. I said, all right, I'll tell you what, just take 4 or 5 minutes, think about it, and meet us up there if you want to. And when we got to the restaurant, I told the maitre d', I said, it's 5, Amy and I and the kids, but we do have some other people that might come. Would you rather just wait? I don't know if they will, but they might come. So they seat us at a table, and then Tim messages me and said, I hope it's not an imposition, but if you want, there's 8 of us. I said, okay. So the gentleman comes back over. I said, excuse me, sir, we have 8 more coming. He goes, oh man, I don't know if we have the staffing. And I look around the restaurant, there's not that many people there. I said, well, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you can't do it, you can't do it. He goes, no, they put us in a room. They took good care of us, obviously. But the fact that he led with, I don't know if we had the staffing. This is a pretty decent restaurant. And for them not to have the staffing was a little bit odd. But it got me to thinking of, I always tell you guys about when we moved over last year to Macedonia in the summer, how Starbucks was open these weird hours because they couldn't find staffing. And I see it with restaurants around here too, in Canada. All the time. You'll go in and there'll be places that are not open, right? You'll sit down and there'll be a number of people in your area, but if you happen to look around, there's no one in the other areas, and it's just because they don't have the staff. So I don't get it. I don't understand, but it's definitely happening in our industry. You'll see, if you follow any of the social media accounts of any of the bigger trainers, you'll hear from time to time how the staffing issue is a real problem. And I wrote an article maybe a couple of months ago outlining how we need to hire. Hi.
I'm sorry. When you put that green stuff on their feet, you put it on the top too?
Which stuff is it?
The stuff like Epsom salt pack.
I don't know. You maybe just read the label. I think just the bottom, maybe the hairline. I wouldn't goop it all into the hair.
Do you shine with it?
I think so, but I mean, you can read it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't done it myself. And you want me to go grocery shopping now, right? Tell them to be ready in 25, 30 minutes.
They're cleaning up.
Okay, then an hour it is. You get a real look at our life on Sunday. Amy's going over the barn to check on Tiger. All the horses racing tomorrow. I'm doing my videos. Kids are cleaning the house. That should be something. Anyway, the staffing shortages are rampant throughout the industry and every barn, for the most part, every bigger barn. So we went a different way this season. Rather than trying to lure people out of other barns and into our barns, what we did was hired from outside of the industry. Went on Indeed.com. We have 6 new employees. These are people that knew nothing about horse racing before this year. So as we start to really train the horses, they've all been there between 5-6 weeks to 2 months or more. They're starting to get the hang of it now, and I want to make sure that the habits they develop are good habits. If you get to the barn sometimes and you want to get in there and get done, corners can get cut sometimes. Now, the good news is I've cut every corner you can cut when I was a caretaker also. So looking at knowing what to look out for, and then just simply talking to everybody, just explaining the right way and why it's important to do it the right way. Paint their feet every day, pick their feet out, keep an eye on the horses. If horses need bandages, put them on. Make sure all your gear is clean all the time. Just silly stuff that may not seem important to the everyday person, but it really is for the barn to move smoothly. So Jason McGinnis obviously does an incredible job doing that. Jason Merriman does a great job too. But I want to make sure that they all have the proper tools, that they all, and this is stuff we've been doing from the start, but now that we're starting to move, we can't afford mistakes made, right? So it's no different than our barn here. I mean, everybody knows their job and everybody keeps an eye on one another and helps everybody out, and that's what has to happen over at Northfield also. So you're also asking 6 people that never met each other before to gel in a cohesive way with other people that are lifetime caretakers and people that have been in the business for a long time. And it's happening, but I want to make sure that it happens the right way. I don't want anybody rubbing each other the wrong way, because you know what happens. You go to the work every day, whatever job you have, and there's people in your office or in your job that you may not get along with, right? And given the opportunity, I would rather have everybody just get along. I don't want to have any not infighting, but any friction in the barn, and it's inevitable to happen. I mean, there's friction in our barn here, but everybody knows, right? Some people don't get along with one another, but you stay in your end, take care of your horses, and be cordial and smile, and everything will work smoothly. And it's the same with the barn over there. I just want to make sure that, and I'm not saying that anybody isn't, but I want to make sure everybody's getting along. So I'm going to go over. I was going to go over Monday night, but I didn't. I forgot that I race at 10 o'clock, so that would be a little silly. I wouldn't get there till 2:30 in the morning. I think what I'll do is wake up at 5 o'clock and drive over to Northfield. That gets me there around 9:30 when things are really starting to heat up in the barn as far as getting the horses out. And I doubt there are many horses to train, but getting the horses out and everybody getting along. And I want to observe as much as everything else. Take a look at, who's doing things, how they're doing things. Is there any mistakes being made? If there is, make a mental note of it, make a physical note of it, and then speak to the person afterwards and say, hey, this is how I want to see this horse hooked up, or this is the equipment you're going to need for this particular horse. And if there's equipment that we need, then I'll go get that equipment. So that's what this week's going to be all about, is the start of the new year. It's not like we're training them hard. We're still hanging out. I think we train them all between 45 and 50 in Ontario, and they'll be the same in Ohio. 45 or 50, hang out around there for a little while. But as we hang out around there, I want to make sure that the horses are sound. Again, I talked to Dr. Latessa about a couple of horses we were going to look at. Both those horses, I believe, are fine. The first one was x-rayed all over. No issues with Venice Blue Chip. Now I'm going to go all over Ready for Landing. These are two horses that I think need to work a little hard. Or no, Venice doesn't. Just wanted to make sure she come off that shaft. I know now what it is. Just immaturity in her stifles. Paint those stifles. Back off a little bit with her, and she'll come off that shaft and come forward. These are the a la carte, the case-by-case scenarios that we go through every single week. And I do it with Jason McGinnis. I'll do it with Jason Merriman. I do it with Dominic here, and James, and Johnny, and Danny. How are the horses going? Are there any changes in their attitude on or off the track? And those are the telltale signs. Those are the things you have to look out for now. Now, as they're starting to train twice a week, train a little bit harder, are there any things we have to look out for? Are there any things we have to kind of nip in the bud, so to speak? And that is what the month of January is all about. So I'm going to spend 4 days probably over in Northfield, just keeping an eye on everything, counseling the new people, talking to them. Hey, is there anything you need explain to you a little bit more? Is there anything you don't understand? It seems like they're doing a fantastic job, but we just need to make sure that everybody, step 1 through step 15, each and every day gets done properly. So that is my job also, is to make sure that I oversee what is going on, make sure all the horses are going good. If Jason Merriman tells me, hey, there's still another horse that's making breaks, or this guy's acting up, or that guy's over on a shaft like you said, or this guy needs a head pull now, I'll go with those horses this week just to get a feel for, do I think there's anything that needs looking at? And inevitably there will be, but I want to make sure that it's all taken care of. So the month of January, for those of you who don't know, is all about getting everything started. When we buy them, right up till Christmas time, let's put a little work in, start to shine them up, get a look at them. January is work time. Now we want to start into February and March and April and May. They really start to work harder. So January is where I want to take a literal physical look at each and every horse and say, okay, there's the baseline for this horse. That's what I see. That's what I want to continue to see. And if the horse deviates from that in any way, I want to have it investigated. And those happen throughout the year. You guys know that. You may have a horse we fluoroscope in March or April or February, and these are new things. You might say to yourself, well, why don't we just fluoroscope them all in October? Well, there's things that pop up in March that you're not going to see in October. So January is when it all starts, and that's why it's important for me to be over there this week. Very happy with the way everybody's going on both sides. Was really happy with the trainers yesterday here in Ontario. I'll talk about them a little bit more in another video. But 13 minutes, wow. Just burned through 13 minutes talking about dance class and grocery shopping and Addie. So we did have another good week at the track. It wasn't perfect. We had an injury from Hone the Tone. He got injured. He's going to have to miss some more time. And Good as Him got injured also. For those of you who are following closely or not closely, maybe I thought this was one of our top prospects moving into 2023. We know that Kings County's good. We know that Locatelli's good. We know that Looks Like Money and a number of Resolute Bay and Renegade Gypsy. We know all those horses are good, and I expect them to come forward in a big way. But Good as Him was a year to their elder, and I thought that he was going to have a breakout year in 2023. He did break. He broke coffin bone. So he is aligned in his coffin bone. We've gone through this with No Free Lunch in 2020, I believe. I think it was 2020, maybe 21. White Tiger when he was a 2-year-old, and then of course last year the infamous fracture of 3-point blue chip. We followed how that went. We tried to put him on the front end of an aggressive training regimen, recovery and rehab, and then again training and getting him back to the races. That didn't work. We fell a few weeks short coming out of Kentucky, and then he was sore in Indiana, so we just stopped. Just stop everything. We were planning on breeding him, but that didn't work out. So he's probably going to resume training May, June of this year, I would imagine, just to give him lots of time. What's the point of rushing now? We want him 105% when he comes back, or as close to it as we can. Good as him, that fracture is upwards towards the coffin joint, but it is not there yet. So the whole point is to keep it from getting there. I guess, no, not like my wrist. My wrist went into the joint. But no free lunches was very, very similar, I believe, from last year. So it's time. The thing about all these injuries is giving them the proper time. And it was funny, I made a video last night. I talked to Randy Waples in the parking lot, and I told him that not only do we have the most clients of anybody in the industry and the biggest barn in Canada, and things are going well, and I'm very proud of what we built. But what we did build that we don't talk enough about is a sense of complete understanding in the industry. And that is for you, our clients, to understand that it isn't all about today. You know, I tell you guys all the time, I drive in a way that is meant for today, right? Because I came up in a different way. I came up driving cheaper horses in a smaller track, and and as a driver anyway, you have no job security. So, you claw your way forward as best you can, and I think that sense of urgency and hunger always stayed with me, and that is the biggest difference between James and I. It's not that James didn't, but James got to enter this industry in a little different way, understanding and seeing things from a different lens, so to speak, a much better one. As you can see, he's become a much better driver than I ever was. And both him and Mark, Mark's different. And Mark is that chameleon that can always fit in. Mark came up the same way I did. So I guess I have no excuses when I put it to you that way. Mark's always been aggressive, but just always done so well. Just always been a great driver. And, when it comes to teaching you the industry, it isn't always about today, right? It isn't, and that's perfectly on display when we talk about a horse like No Free Lunch. Remember that time Harry gave him this summer and really turned him into the horse he was this fall and winter? That time was important. And I've been around a number of everyday owners that had come up in a different way, and it would always be, hey, is he going to race this week? When's the horse racing? I really would like to see him race. We have Bills coming out this month. And this is the type of stress that, it's just human nature, but it's a type of stress we always have. And by allowing people like you, good people, to enter a stable and understand why No Free Lunch wasn't racing, it takes a lot of the stress off Harry Poulton. It takes a lot of the stress off me, and it allows you to see the fruits of that labor by allowing him the time to actually get him proper, rather than get him kind of good because you want to see him race, or because we have to race him because Bills are coming out. It allows him to become a better horse, and that sense of urgency about today just isn't there. So not only do we have a great stable, not only do we have great horses, not only do we have great owners, but the owners, you, hopefully are now understanding the difference between doing it right and kind of right. I talked about that when it comes to caretaking in the barn also. There's really only two ways to do things, the right way and the wrong way. There's a little bit of gray area in between, and you can get away with it, I suppose, but you always want to lean towards the right way. And when it comes to racing horses, Harry Poulton does it the right way, and James McDonald does it the right way too. I try to do it the right way a lot, but they do it the right way quite a bit more. So again, it's by having the right people in place to take care of our horses. So what I was trying to convey to Randy was, not only do we have the best clients, but we have the best clients because they understand how to do it right. They understand that it isn't always about today. And a horse like good as him, you may not see him till October, November. You may not see him till then. But that doesn't mean he's going anywhere. Doesn't mean he's gone forever. And if we do it right now, that re-injury rate is very, very low, I hope and I believe, for the coffin bone. That's one thing we do have going, is that I've never seen any of the coffin bone fractures that we've had end up with re-injuries. Not one. So I think in that regard, we are doing it right. I know that Stacy is on top of it, and she is very aware of what is needed right now in his care and what is needed over the next few months. So the next question obviously would be, will he stay in her care? Yes. It's not going to cost a lot of money to take care of a horse standing in a stall, and I would rather have somebody that's going to meticulously look at that horse every single day and keep an eye on him. And that's one thing that Stacy and Brett do. They're meticulous, great people, and very, very good horse people. So, as I said, our racing wasn't perfect this week. We did have those 2 injuries. We scratched Absolute Euphoria the other night. I don't think there's anything serious with her. She's walking sound. It may be anything from a bruise in her foot to a tiny line in her knee, and we would have to stop with her soon anyway. I wanted to give her some time off as we get closer to that stake season in Ohio. I don't know what kind of horse she is, but I want to let her be the best kind of horse she can be. So even if it is a line in her knee, I don't really care. It's a simple matter of giving her a couple of weeks in the stall, injecting that knee, and swimming her until it heals in, which would have been almost the same time frame we were going to give her anyway. So I'm not concerned with Absolute Euphoria in any way. So although we did technically have 3 injuries this week, 2 were a little more serious, much more serious than the 1. A great week again from Patrick DePrana. This horse just continues to go forward in a big way. 27-2, a mile and 50-3 on a freezing cold day, especially with the weather changing. The horse race good. Just a very, very good horse. One of our new horses, as I said, we keep trying to buy good horses. We will get good ones, and when we're wrong and they don't turn out to be good, find the best path forward for them and move them on at a time that is beneficial to us. So HB Maestro certainly looks like he was at least a long double, if not a home run. He's a really, really nice horse. Very happy with the way he looked the other day. Just an impressive looking animal. And even Walk on the Moon, I'm down on Walk on the Moon. You guys know. He just frustrates me because I know how good he is and how good he can be. But he did race okay the other day. Second in 55, although I know he should have won in 54-4. Second in 55-1 is not horrible either. So, my anger towards that horse is simply because I know how good he could be, and he chooses not to be, but he still is a good horse, and he was second in 55 the other day. Locatelli, man, I drove Locatelli hard, I drove Sintra hard. 2 tough trips for those horses this week. I suspect Locatelli will have another start or 2 in Pennsylvania, probably just 1, and we'll turn him out. Harry's now talking about the Maple Leaf Trot and bigger races, and he's 100% right. We have the Graduate for Looks Like Money. That's a 4-year-old. We have that Ontario Series in March. April. We're keeping an eye on that. I think the biggest thing is, how do we keep Resolute Bay fresh and not turn him out if he doesn't need to be turned out? You can't have your cake and eat it too, but we're trying our best to have our cake and eat it too with Resolute Bay. Somebody said, why didn't he get in this week? He didn't get in because we didn't put him in. He was in, but the class didn't go. We opted for White Tiger and Looks Like Money because at some point Looks Like Money is going to have to be rested for June. There's no real racing in between for him, and I don't love the idea of racing him as a 4-year-old in June. The 4-year-old stake program is thin. There's not a ton of 4-year-old stakes. So we have to look at what he's eligible to as a 4-year-old. I don't want Looks Like Money racing against Locatelli, and Locatelli is going to be a mid-level, I don't want to say long shot, but he's not going in any open races. He's not rolling into the Maple Leaf Trot at 8-5, I can tell you that. He's going to be probably 15-20-1, but he's always going to be a fringe player. He's a good horse, but I don't want Looks Like Money racing against those horses, and I know there are people out there that believe he can. He cannot. Not yet. Not as a 4-year-old. That is a deep, deep end of the pool, and you're going to hurt your horse more times than not trying to race them in there. So how do we maneuver around 2023 to get Looks Like Money in a position to be an effective 4-year-old, but Locatelli is a 5-year-old? And that's the hope, right? That's the plan with Looks Like Money. A nice horse, really nice horse. Harry's done a great job with him. How do we get him from where he is to where we want him to be in the most effective way? And it is not racing him in open company, I can tell you that. There's going to be people disagree, but I'll tell you right now, any of our partners on Looks Like Money, if you think that he's racing in the open company in 2023, you're going to be sadly mistaken, because he's going to be very thinly staked in those major races, because I'm not going to hurt what could be a very, very, very good horse for us just because we hope and think that he's Locatelli. He's not there yet. He's not. When we bought Locatelli, I told everybody 4-year-old stakes are tough on these horses. Let's just take our time and let him become the horse he is. He went in 50-4. He's been racing great. And make no mistake, Combs Hanover the other day. Combs Hanover's a killer. He's no slob. Take a look at his lines. He won the Open like 4 or 5 times in 2021, 2022. Good horse. So Combs Hanover's a nice horse. There's no slouches, especially the trip that we went. Get butchered with Locatelli. He's a nice horse, and he's going to be a really, really good horse. Just let them be. Let them learn and grow up on their own. You don't want to stretch them too thin. So that was Locatelli. Looks like money. And then we talked about Resolute Bay and Renegade Gypsy. Those types of horses are just so good. But again, got to be easy. Got to go easy on them. I think, regionally speaking, Renegade Gypsy is not as good as Looks Like Money right now. And Resolute Bay just always seems to find a way to overachieve. And that doesn't mean we're going to put him in the deeper end of the ocean just hoping he can get it done. We're going to stake them accordingly and hope that they turn into the horses we think they can be. And I think all those horses, Looks Like Money, Renegade Gypsy, Resolute Bay, I know I'm missing plenty of them. Unbeatable Kemp, talk about him in a second. These horses all are very talented horses, and I think we're going to have a very, very deep roster all throughout 2023. So that was Resolute Bay, Gypsy. As I said, Looks Like Money, and Unbeatable Kemp made that break last week. I think that's an anomaly. I don't think you're going to see that repeated anytime soon. And I think he's probably sitting on a pretty good mile heading into Monday night. We'll see how he does. We'll see how he does there. And I'd be remiss. We talked about the good horses. Obviously, Kings County's a monster. A lot of people saying, is he okay with that break? I think if you watch that race, it looks to me like he just got a little jostled and pinched off. He didn't get interfered with. But I think when they headed into the turn and that horse was crossing down, you can see Brett kind of get twisted around a bit and he rolls off stride. He was fine after the race. Stacy said there was no issue with him. So he'll be back again. Another horse, just this weird schedule where it's like, how's he still this good? How's he still moving forward? Just a really good horse. And then obviously we have our horses that are coming forward. You guys know lots of them. We just talked about a number of them. No Free Lunch, though, leads the pack. An easy winner last night in 51, 27 flat in the end of it with the earplugs in. Anytime you put him in where he can do damage, he just looks like a monster. Right? He just looks like he's a killer. And as I say that, he's raced a couple of times, just got beat in the Open, come 25 in a piece. Just Harry's horses are so good, and this horse here, such a change. But again, when you look at his schedule, his first lifetime qualifier, one of them become 26 in a piece. He's always been fast. Kind of seemed like he was a hanger a bit at 2 and 3. Always was in the mix, but not in the winner's circle when he could have been. Come out at 3 and showed some talent. Then he got injured at 4, broke that coffin bone, right? Cracked that coffin bone. Come back great, and has just been absolutely lights out since Harry. And Harry did the right thing. You know, he took that blood in the middle of summer. The horse just didn't feel right to him, and his blood showed it. That differential was flipped. His word count was low. He just wasn't himself. And now that the horse has come around and really found his best stride, man, he has just looked so good. So, those are better horses, how they're racing. They're all racing pretty good week in and week out. Horses to watch this week. I don't generally do this, but horses, I get looking at the list as I'm going down the list of horses that are going to race this week. I looking at horses that I think are on the cusp of coming back around. Stay Close, I think he was a winner the other day, and I think he's really starting to feel like the horse he was before. We had some trouble getting him there. He just felt like a little more rickety than we're used to him being, a little more rough, not quite as confident as he was when we put him away last year. And we were just trying to find the right combination. It was just minor changes, shifts here and there, and he's turned into a really, really nice horse again. I think he's sitting on a big trip coming into Monday. LD's Patrick is also, I told everybody, maybe not this week, but within the next 2 weeks, I think you're going to see him jump up and go a big mile. I want to believe it's on Monday. He trained good this week. His confidence is coming back around. I'm starting to see the horse that I saw before. Just need a couple little nudges in the right direction. So hopefully James can work out a good trip with him tomorrow, and I hope he behaves himself, because I think he is sitting on a pretty good mile. Stonebridge Ducati, we had to scratch him because we made that mistake, put him in the wrong class. I noticed it when the entries come up. The reason he drew 8 again, I believe there's a rule in Ohio, if you scratch it at the 8 hole, you're given the 8 hole the next week. I don't technically disagree with that rule, although it wasn't our intention. I don't really care, 8 hole or not. We'll take the 8 hole again. That's fine. But when Stonebridge Ducati was scratched, it was because he lost 25% of his allowance. We had entered him before the end of the year, and then realized that the January 2nd or whatever it was, he had lost a lot of his allowance. And I just thought, Although I wasn't super concerned he'd get claimed. As I put it to Jason, I'd claim him. So I think we just err on the side of caution, scratch him, train him up, and race him next week. So he's got the 8-hole this week, but make no mistake, if I can find a way to get a trip with him, I think he's as good as any of those horses in there. Really, really nice horse. He's really starting to come along. It's not shocking. This is Stonebridge Simba and Man of Many Missions' brother, by Cadabra. He had issues with his knees at 2 and 3. They seem to be under control. He's sound. He's looking great. When he left Mario's barn, the horse looked amazing. Emily, Mario, and Nikki, Mario's crew did a great job with that horse. He looks great. But now he's starting to come forward in a big way, and I'm very interested to see what he's going to do in the very near future. And then Unbeatable Kemp, for those of you saying, he was so-so in the mud, and then he made the break last week, I think you're going to see him return to form and go a big mile on Monday night. So there's 4 horses that I think are sitting on the cusp of doing some pretty good things in the very near future, aside from the horses that are already doing very good things. We talked about the sale this week a little bit. I was a little surprised it was flat. Not shocking. I called David Reed and I said, geez, I got to be honest, I'm a little surprised the sale was that flat. He did say the same thing I said. A lot of those horses would have prepped this week for the sale on the 16th, so they just weren't ready to go yet. So for those of you out there that maybe have sat through this 31-minute video and listened to my videos last week and have called me or emailed me or texted me and said, I want in on the sale, there are going to be good horses up for sale over the next 2 weeks. They will be there. And I would like the opportunity to scoop at least 2, if not 3, pretty quality horses up. But it's going to take some revenue. It's going to take some money. So for those of you out there that want to be a part of buying, and these will be, there are some horses up for sale. There's one in Preferred tomorrow. There's a couple up for sale, but nothing really striking. These would be pawns on the chessboard. We're looking for bishops and knights and rooks for those of you who play chess. We're looking for some power players for the barn. I would like an open trotter for Northfield. Perlucky's ready to qualify now. I think we'll send him back to the Meadows. But I would like some power for Northfield. Northfield's been very hospitable to us, and I think it's time we reciprocate. I would like to have some horses over there. What else do we need? Be nice to replace Good as Him also for now, but we'll see if we can do that. That's easier said than done. So we're looking for some open type trotters, some good pacers. Hopefully a pacer that can bust around Northfield would be nice. It'd be nice to have an open trotter there also. I know Megan had mentioned the purse money's fantastic at Yonkers. It's starting on the 16th. We may send some horses her way also. Always like doing business with Megan and Scotty. Yes, just obviously feel like I made the wrong turn with Yes again. He may head to Yonkers. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens with him. I almost toyed with the idea of putting him up for sale, but we'll see how he does on Tuesday. I believe he's racing. And then still, and I didn't even mention Atlas Hanover in the opening. How good was he the other day? 51 flat. Just looked like an absolute beast at I like the way they did it too. I talked to Steve a little bit. I didn't realize he'd raced for less money. It looked like they took that entire condition, non-winners of winners of 4 but not 6 or whatever it is, or 8, or I'm not sure, and then seeded it. So the top 9 went for 18, the bottom 9 went for 11 and something, and he was in the bottom 9 and then ended up running off the screen. And although it's not going to be any cakewalk next year, I think that is a huge confidence booster for him. So I like the way that they did that. If that's in fact what they did, it's impressive and smart, right? It keeps horses from getting ripped apart, and very, very happy if that's how they did it. And a smart thing to do, actually, very smart thing to do. I guess you need the horses to do that first and foremost, but a smart thing to do. So we talked about the babies a little bit. We talked about horses that I think are on the move this week. We talked about how the horses are racing well. We talked about the sale and how we are actively looking for horses. So if you want to be a part of buying some top, and I had some people say, well, I want to know who you're looking at first. That's not going to happen, right? I'm going to send a note out to the people on that list saying, these are the horses we're looking at. This is the price that I believe they'll go for. But as far as, it's the same as the yearling sale. To go out and say, hey, this is what I'm looking at, drop me a line. I'm not going to do that. I can't do it because there's a lot of people that get our emails. There's a lot of people that see our videos. And this is an important time. The difference between buying a top flight horse and being in the bidding of a top flight horse is very, very thin. And I want to make sure that we keep it as tight to our chest. We play our cards as tight to the chest as we can over the next month, because I don't know if you've noticed, but it's pretty hard to find pretty talented horses, and that is exactly what we're after. And as I said, talked about the babies, very happy with their going. You guys know what's coming soon, the staking regimen for this year. We're going to go over that a little bit. Look at the horses we have as we continue to get better horses. The staking does climb, and it's frustrating, and I still am an advocate, same way they do it in Australia, just stake them on sale day. You know, especially for us. I think it would be so much better to say, hey, here's a horse that I thought would go for 60. We got him for 48. To fully stake him throughout the end of the season would be $7,000. That's the time to do it, not in February when people don't have money. But that's just my 2 cents. So with that, again, a pretty good start to 2023 as expected. Harry had a great start. Dominic's off to a pretty good start also. Jason looking to get the wheels turning in Northfield, but did well with Took a Dive off Dipper. We had to move Maestro because he was also eligible in Northfield, so we'd like to replace those horses and get some horses racing for Jason also. So with that, I'm going to talk to you guys soon. I do hope you had a great week. I hope you have a better week coming. It is a nice day. Woke up nice and early, fresh as a daisy today in Ontario. Got a lot of football today. If you're a football person, big day today. So I will let you guys go. Hope you had a great weekend. As I said, take care.